Alright, trappers, Madtrapper back at you. Finishing up on our dyeing chores. We're dyeing and waxing today using the Logwood dye, the boil method. The previous video was speed dipping. One thing I forgot to mention in there, the blue tub that I dip in, when I'm done, them gas cans that were sitting off to the side of me, I use a can and a funnel and I put them back in there, and I use the same gas and same dip year after year. This year I put in a new can of Andy Stoves. I do that once every 2 or 3 years just so it looks like it's getting weak. But other than that, I use the same one. That's same gas and dye solution's been in some of them cans for years. Still works fine. Anyway, back to the Logwood. We got the pot going. We got the first 3 batches in. I just kind of want to show how this process is done step by step. Wasn't trying to get too in depth with it. So I'll show you what we got going on. First thing is what I'm using, the wind would cooperate, is just the Logwood trap dye. I used 2 of these in this pot, which is roughly about half of a 55-gallon drum cut off. As you see, nice rolling boil. They've been in there about an hour. I've got another batch. I couldn't quite get them all in there. First thing I do is I power wash all the traps off, all the drags, chains off. I put them in there in a thing of lye. Plumber's lye works. I think in a previous video I said if you're around Mennonite Amish places, they sell bulk lye. Boil them in there, get them really clean, gets all the old wax and bad rust off. I'll leave them out here, usually for 3 or 4 days. I did them last weekend, so they've been out here 7 days. Got a little rust. Here's a new trap. It's a neighbor boy's. He's just getting into trapping. Told him I would get it cleaned up for him. Anyway, there's 2 methods of doing this. One of them is what I'm doing here. Boiling for about an hour. We'll pull these out here in a second. I'll set them out here on the cement, let them dry, do the next batch, then we'll wax them. The drags and the chains, I'm going to do them in this little pot here. I'll put it over here when I'm done. Switch them out. Now what this is we have, you see the chunk of wax floating in there from last year. There's a lot of it in there. It just broke up when I moved it. This is the same pot from last year I did this in. I put in about 1 pound of wax, boil it on top. I'll put a bundle of the drags and chains down in there, about an hour, let them get good and dark, and then you slowly lift them out. That wax will adhere to it, and that kind of gives them a little wax coating. That method, if I was only doing 2 traps I had to do, that's what I would do. And this method here is more, you got several dozen traps. I do them in bulk. I've got, 3 or 4 dozen in there now. As I wax them, I'll hang a line up. You'll see that, and I hang them up individually. You can wax them in bulk, but you get a lot of drips. They stick to each other, so you get the voided spots. I don't like it, so probably doesn't hurt at all. I've done it before, and no issues that I can tell, but this is just the way I like to do it. So anyway, let's see what these are looking like here. I think this was the last one I put in. Oh, yeah, they're looking good and dark. Steamy. Let that steam get off there. Oop, get off my phone. I won't be able to see nothing. Yeah, nice. I mean, pitch black. That's midnight, no moon black. And that's what we want. Now, one word of caution. You want these to dry, unfortunately cool, before you wax. If you take traps with liquid in them, put them in hot boiling wax, they will actually pop and go everywhere. So so let them dry, get good and cool, switch the pots out, and then we'll wax them. So let's get these others out and we'll get the last batch in. All right, get this last stringer out of this batch. Them are nice. Put the last stringer in. Leave a little wire on them and the hook right there. Anyway, we'll get them going. About an hour or so from now, we'll take them out. We'll switch the pots out, and we'll get the drags and the hooks going, or the drags and the chain. See you then. All right, trappers, Madtrapper back at you. Just finishing up the dyeing process. Show you where we're at. Those are the three we took out a while ago. Thunder. And these, I went ahead and put the drags and chains in here for a reason. You might hear if it's coming through, but a storm's coming in. Was not supposed to rain until late this evening, but it's coming and we'll take it. So instead of getting this here pot ready to go and doing all that tonight, I'm going to, and I'll still do that tomorrow with it, but I wanted to get the dye on them. So we'll get these pulled up out of here, see what they look like. And I do have it shut off now. Yeah. That's what they're supposed to look like. You seen them when they went in, kind of rusty looking. I want those, I want these. I try to take them out in order to put them in there so they don't get tangled as easy. Not worried about them dripping off because they're going to lay here till tomorrow. Now it's going to rain. And there you have it. Dyed or ready for the wax pot. Like I say, we'll wax these individually tomorrow. Well, two at a time. Tomorrow, those we'll go ahead and get that melted down, heated up, and we'll just run them through that and show you that process. So anyway, there it is for today, and rain delay. We'll get back with you tomorrow. All right, Madtrapper back at you. Day after the rain delay. Just getting started. I'll show you where I'm at. I got the first one in there. The pot's kind of simmering real heavy. We're going to do these next two batches. We'll go ahead and pull these out. A couple things to note on this. You don't want this at a hard rolling boil. One, wax will catch fire and explode. Two, it waxes better. You pull it up through there nice and easy without a hard rolling boil. Let that drip off. And we'll take it out here. I like to hang mine up. So we're going to go to this fence post right here. The wrap. We'll let that hang there. Go down here and get us another one. And repeat. Again, this is the process. See that? Since I pulled that out, that's a little too much of a rolling boil. We don't want that. I'll kick this down a little bit. And as you see, it's almost instant when it goes back down. And these will cool it off. Shake them, get all the moths out. Just lower them in there, trying to get everything you can in. I don't worry about it like that, where I got the top of one of them sticking out. If I can shove it down in there, I will. If not, I'm not really that worried about it. A little on there. All good. It only takes a couple minutes for the metal, the chain, and the grapple to heat up to the water temperature. And you want them to do that because if they're colder, when you pull them out, a ton of wax will adhere to them. So we'll give these a minute. It literally only takes a minute to get warmed up. And we got that last batch. Now the rest of these will be done two at a time in a wax pot, and we'll show that when we can. All right, this is the last one. I went ahead and skipped one. Again, pull this up real slow. Let it drip off a little bit. We'll go out here and hang it up. There's the first two. One I did first and one I just got done doing. There it is. She's on the sunny side over here. You can. That's what it'll look like. 3 rows of grapes, and now it's weeds. There's 1 or 2. Drought killed everything. All right, so what we'll do now, and we'll set this pot off, and we'll get this little pot right there going, get it melted, and we'll show you how we do that. All right, guys, got the wax up to temperature. I'll have to turn it down a little bit. When it boils a little bit more, it's just starting to bubble. But normally I do this two-handed. Hope the wind's not too bad on us. Anyway, normally I do this two-handed. A hook in each hand, but of course can't the hook and that. So we're going to do 1 trap at a time for a couple just to show you. I do go a little slow. I don't want to just drop them in there in case they do have a little moisture on them. Really, literally only takes 30 seconds for the trap to warm up to the wax temp. When you pull it out, it'll be a nice thin coating. That pot's big enough. I can do 2 number 3s at a time. That's solid wax. I don't know how many pounds, probably 15, 18 pounds. But again, once it gets kind of a little bit more boil, I have to turn it down. I don't want it catching fire and exploding everywhere. One thing I didn't mention when I was doing the dye portion of this, doing the logwood dye on those, one of the wives' tales I've heard talking to other trappers where they don't do it because they're afraid to temper the steel on their trap. Now, if you can get a water boiling high enough to temper steel, you've done something. I've done this here for 30 plus 40 years, and I've never tempered the steel yet, and I've had it come to some real heavy rolling boils. The heat evaporates out through the water if it gets too hot. And we should be done. Oh yeah, you can tell you're done when it's just nice, looks wet, not clumpy. And when you pull the trap out, you can tell it's done if it's not got a lot of, kind of a milky look to it. Let her drip off pretty good. Put all that wax back in the pot, not on the trap. Then we'll take it out here. I'll set my little rope. I mean, this is just my system. Of course, you can do anything you want. Works for me. I like the final product. Got little hooks on the rope here. Again, trying to do this one-handed. Didn't work out too well. And it literally just takes a few minutes for them to dry. By the time I get 10, 15 of them up on there, I can start taking them off and putting them into barrels. These barrels here are what we'll go into. I'll show you that here in a second. Let's get another one going. And the end of the chain here. I do them slow in case they do have a little moisture on them. It'll pop. Anyway, what's in this one? Now there's taking a few 1.5s out there. I'm gonna set some small sets for some ringtails, some smaller fox, cable stakes, and drags. There's some that's been dyed and waxed since spring. Ones I used last year. Look like they're 3s. Put that back on there in a minute. There's some, looks like mostly 2s. Same thing. It's been dyed and waxed this spring. Anyway, that's how I store them in barrels. Just keeps foreign odors off of them, especially when I keep them in my shed here. Gas, oil, smells. Pull it out kind of slow. Let it run off. Again, normally I'm doing this two at a time. Goes a little quicker. Which after I hang this one up, we will go back to two at a time, and we'll come back whenever we got them all done. I don't know if that's hooked in there or not. Go down here and look at these. They're all crunchy, but you take them, unwire them, hit them on the ground once, twice, cement or something, they bust all nice and loose. Anyway, all right, we'll get the rest of these done and we'll get back with you. All right, trappers, we are done. Ended up with 39 traps and 3 bundles of chains and drags. This is how I do it. I normally string it out further. I put 2 posts between it, and I rotate them. I take them off. I don't leave them hanging. They sag so much. But with 39 traps, I didn't have to do that. Now that one there is the last one. It's still a little glistening. I like this method better. Let's see if I can get a good one here. But you see how clean they are. Not all gommed up. Not all touching. I mean, they are just super good to work with. Just a better method to me. That's what I like. Anyway, if you found this video educational, helpful in any way, please hit the like and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, drop them below and we will get to them. We'll see you guys on down the line.